little more, a little faster. Wouldn't hurt at all. Just a little. Don't you? Just a touch.
I don't think that's a question of tempo.
Maybe.
For example, this is absolutely mosh. It doesn't mean anything, you know. We have to work it. It will take a little bit time. I left Russia in 1910.
For artistic freedom?
And for health of my first wife. We went to Switzerland, and we spent in Switzerland from 10 to 20. 39 was a tragic year of my life. The first who died was my eldest daughter. After was my first wife. In 3 months, my mother. All on the same place, Paris. I left Paris forever. And I came to America because I had in the Harvard University lectures. Since then I am an American citizen. I feel very well. I feel America is my second country. Don't look, I will cry. Why? Because we are leaving New York tomorrow. The interest of my life, my intellectual life, and my everyday life is to make. I am a maker. Seasick. Never. I am sea drunk. Quite different. For good health.
If he makes a mistake, he has an electric eraser for the special ink, so he can erase it with the electric eraser. Then he has something else also electric. We have a lot of electric things.
In my brain, there are two things, intervals and rhythm, which are the main elements of the music. I love to compose the music, which I did already more than 70 years. And, you know, I always liked to compose music more than the music itself. It was in 1912 in Berlin when my Firebird and my Petrushka was played by the Russian ballet. The Kaiser was there even. And so I saw all the generals and so on. But afterwards I knew that they said that too much noise. And I want to say, where exactly? I had piano lessons from 7. But the regular piano lessons, I took it at 9. And it was a very, very dull, but I had to do it. And the exercises were dull, and everything seemed to me too large, you know, too big. Later, at 14 years, I took lessons. It was a lady, was maybe 19 years old, and of course, for me, that was an old maid. But I was, of course, I was in love with this old maid, and I didn't know how to hide it from my mother. And I remember in one conversation, my mother
said to her, to the old maid, I know Igor is in love with you, and so what? And she was very offended.
Good afternoon.
Stand by, please, everyone. Are we ready?
Not yet.
Maestro, shall we do it?
Yeah.
Movement by movement.
Oh.
Stravinsky, Symphony of Psalms, first movement, take one.
I find that all composers must conduct. And they must conduct not only for the public, but for themselves, to know how to write music. When you know how to conduct with, you will better write music. And the other reason is that that's an earning. That's a very serious earning, much more serious than my own music. Rimsky-Korsky said, don't go to the conservatory. Not for you. I was only very glad because I wanted him to teach me, not conservatory, you know.
He was a very clear-minded person. In a very bad aesthetical period of the Russian history. I learned from him the form and the orchestration. He was the most wonderful teacher in the world.
How are you? Are you enjoying your time?
I am fine.
You are, and you're working very hard.
All my life.
Yes. I always wanted to play to you sometime on the lute because I read that you find the lute a very beautiful and expressive instrument.
Always, of course. But when?
Well, anytime if you had a minute.
No time.
I'm sure it's very difficult
I have
for
no
you.
time. There are people who have time.
Yes.
People who have money.
Yes.
People who have many things, you know.
Yes.
I have some things.
But you've got great gifts, which is more than the time or the money.
Oh, nice.
Would you like to see a lute? Would you like to see my lute?
Oh, yeah.
I brought it with me.
Oh, nice. It was written much more for the lute than for the piano. Ich konnte Zimmermann spielen.
Ja?
Oh, yes.
Like this?
Ich habe es gekauft in Genf.
Ah ja.
Ich habe es gekauft. Für 1.500 Franken.
Das war viel Geld damals.
Viel Geld,
Ja.
aber ich habe es gekauft und ich hatte es mehrere Jahre gehabt.
Ja.
Weil ich mehr das nicht brauchte. Ich habe Debussy das gezeigt in Paris.
Ja.
Und der war entzückt.
Ja.
Er hat es auch etwas geschrieben für Cimbalom.
That was the season of spring in Paris, spring 1909. And immediately when Diaghilev came back, he wanted to see me and to make the season 1910. And for 1910, he commissioned me the Feuerberg. Diaghilev was a kind of Oscar Wilde. Oh, was very elegant, very chic, and very distant. It was a dandy, very distant, and very smiling and protecting. For somebody who was just 24 years old or 25 years old, was very flattering because Diaghilev was a very well-known person at this moment. And and he had his scandals with the imperial director of the opera and so on because of Nijinsky and all this.
At the time that Stravinsky's first ballets broke upon the scene, the classic ballet was already in some decline. There was interesting new music was not being written for it, and it had come into a sort of barren period. That, of course, is the achievements of Diaghilev, who had the idea, who saw in Stravinsky somebody who could rejuvenate the ballet.
Petrushka was the first thing I wrote after the Firebird, and that was written in France and in Rome. I went to Rome with the Russian ballet. Diaghilev asked me to come and to assist him. Petrushka was an immense advance after the Firebird, and the third advance was, of course, the Sacre du Printemps. That was a scandalous advance. The big scandal of the Sacre du Printemps was a historical scandal. The public, they shouted, they whistled, and so on, just from the beginning. And when they saw also what Nijinsky did, the scandal doubled.
Then, when the curtain opened on a group of knock-kneed and long-breasted lolitas jumping up and down, danse des adolescentes, the storm broke.
It was full of very noisy public. I went out, I said, go to hell. Excuse me, Monsieur Edan. They came for Scheherazade or for Cleopatra. And they saw the Sacre du Printemps. They were very shocked. They were very naive and stupid people. It has nothing to do with the art.
The idea of Le Sacre du Printemps came to me while I was still composing the Firebird. I had dreamed a scene of pagan ritual in which a chosen sacrificial virgin dances herself to death. I first became conscious of thematic ideas for the Sacre in the summer of 1911 in Ustilug, our summer home in Volhynia. Reaching Switzerland in the fall, I rented a house in Clarens for my family and began to work.
This is Lake Geneva in Switzerland, seen from Stravinsky's hotel. Not far from here is the village of Clarens, where in 1911 he composed the Rite of Spring, in a room hardly large enough to hold Stravinsky and a muted upright piano. Stravinsky hasn't seen that room in over 50 years.
Now, that's what I don't recognize. Here was my hotel. I don't recognize. It was here. And here was the hotel of Ravel.
Stravinsky tries to find his old house with the help of his son Theodore, a painter. Half a century gone by blurs the way, but he is determined to refresh the memory of the place and of the people connected with it. People like Serge Diaghilev, the impresario of the Ballet Russe, who presented the first Rite of Spring.
To go to the third floor. I don't remember. It's here. That's the room where I composed the Sacre du Printemps.
The composition of Le Sacre was completed by the beginning of 1912.
When I composed the first part of the Sacre, Diaghilev invited me to Venice, and I started to play him this chord, 59 times the same chord. Diaghilev was a little bit surprised. He asked me only one thing, which was very offending. He asked me, will it last a very long time this way? And I said, till the end, my dear. And he was silent. because he understood that the answer was serious. After the big, incredible scandal of the first performance of the Sacre du Printemps, he was delighted.
But he was not so much pleased by something that happened a year later. It was the same Sacre du Printemps at the concert, in Paris also. Monte conducted it. It was such a triumph, you cannot imagine. The public took me, embraced me on the arms and went in the street, and I saw a mass of police protecting me. It was really a very big triumph, this moment. And Diaghilev was furious, because the triumph was not in his ballet, but at the concert.
It was the policeman Diaghilev later fixed up in his account of the story. Our little Igor now needs police escorts out of his concerts like a prize fighter. I was guided by no system whatever in the Sacre du Printemps. Very little immediate tradition lies behind the Sacre du Printemps, and no theory. I had only my ear to help me. I heard, and I wrote what I heard. I am the vessel through which the Sacre passed.
I was in Paris. I knew very well Diaghilev. He called me and said, "Are you free for dinner today?" And I said, "Yes, come, we will go with Stravinsky to a little restaurant in the Montmartre." The dinner was very gay. Stravinsky was moody. I don't know, yet something happened in the family, or I don't know what happened. He was rather moody. And Diaghilev told me even he has some difficulties. He didn't say what. So be gay and friendly, this is all. So we met the first time. It was 21.
Giacometti is one of the best sculptors in the world. I have a very friendly feeling for him. I know him well.
Je n'aurais plus à rien faire, hein, c'est abominable.
Matisse, yeah.
Ah. Il ne pouvait pas marcher du tout.
Non.
Rien. Ou il était couché ou dans une chaise.
Ah mon Dieu, c'est ce qui m'attend aussi parce que je marche très mal.
Pas, il faisait un effort terrible pour poser, non?
Ah,
vraiment.
Difficile.
Ah oui, oui.
Difficile.
Vous voulez poser?
Les anciens.
Non. Je ne comprends pas
l'idée.
L'idée. Ils sont collés, comme ça. Oui. Tous ensemble, non?
Ah.
Alors, vous ne pouvez pas les voir?
C'est très bien.
Oui, il y a 8 ans.
Alors,
Non, il n'y a pas 8 ans. Nous avons déjeuné ensemble, dîner chez
oui,
Béatrice de Rothschild. Et vous partiez pour la Russie.
Oui.
2 jours après.
Oui, c'était en 80. En 2.
Il y a 3 ans, non?
Il y a 3 ans. I asked Cocteau to compose a libretto for Oedipus. A libretto, I said, which must be a very banal libretto. There's a big public to understand nothing, to see all the movements and to conclude, you know. But very banal. And he composed me a libretto which was Wagnerian. But I said, it's not banal, that's Wagnerian. And I did much more simple libretto, a libretto for everybody. Nobody understands Wagnerian librettos. Even Wagner didn't understand. Even Hitler didn't understand it in his prison. Now, he said, my dear, pas d'inquiétude, je vais te faire un autre. Don't worry, I will do another one. And he did another one which was a little bit less Wagnerian. I said, this is still Wagnerian. And he said that, my dear, it's a pleasure to work with you. I will make a third libretto. It was very nice. And the third libretto, he did it just as Italian operas. That's what I need.
Au cœur du vieux Genève, dans le secret d'un atelier de peintre, nous rencontrons l'illustre compositeur Igor Stravinsky. Tandis que Théodore Stravinsky soumet ses maquettes à son père, l'épouse et la bru du compositeur ont retrouvé une photographie de Ramu et évoquent la collaboration des deux artistes qui nous a valu l'histoire du soldat.
Am Wiener Westbahnhof trifft ein, der große alte Mann unter den lebenden Komponisten, Igor Stravinsky. Er dirigiert in der Oper seinen Oedipus Rex und wird auch im Konzerthaus erscheinen.
You read the reviews?
No.
Of the critics? No? They were very good. That must make you very happy.
I'm not happy, very good critics.
And bad critics?
Just not very unhappy, very bad critics.
Maybe it's not a good place to start. Let's start at 8. And can we have a little more bass drum, please? 2 before 9.
I don't like 8. 6 is better.
Third movement, insert 2, take 3.
Where? All right, announce it.
Yeah. Okay.
6.
Stop a minute, will you?
6.
Yes. Hello?
6.
6 is okay.
6.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
6.
Let's do it. Stand by, please. Number 6.
The Unisonic Prize for Music is hereby presented with 50,000 Danish crowns to composer Igor Stravinsky. The Music Festival Copenhagen, May the 25th, 1959. The Unisonic.
From the bottom of my heart, let me say thank you. They gave caviar, wonderful caviar, wonderful vodka, and some Russian cutlets, which I like very much, in the plane, with not very agreeable stewardess, very serious, without smile at all, and answering businesslike.
Большом зале консерватории с авторским концертом выступил выдающийся современный композитор Игорь Федорович Стравинский, прибывший на гастроли из Америки. Исполняется сюита из балета «Петрушка».
Everybody in Russia, after Stalin's 25 years reign, it was everybody still now are frightened. Shostakovich on late Stravinsky.
What does he say?
Read and you will understand what the Soviets are saying after the invitation.
He says Mr. Dmitri Shostakovich said today he was sorry Igor Stravinsky, who has composed so much good music, has been writing in an avant-garde style in recent years, but alas, failed to produce anything significant.
You see, they invited me, polite, 1 year. Afterwards, boom, again.
Make a wish. No, you ate already.
No, maybe you
So the
No, thank you, I have it.
There's many Stravinskys here. This is the famous Picasso.
I have no more hairs. Here I had hairs, as you see.
Did you? It's Giacometti's.
That's a Giacometti. It's a very strange man. Matisse.
Oui.
Était un homme très gentil. Il m'a invité au Louvre pour montrer les choses qu'il aimait et expliquer pourquoi il les aimait. Et c'était très beau.
Ah oui, ça sûrement.
Il parlait surtout des couleurs. Et je ne savais pas qu'il était si ami avec Picasso.
Ben, vous savez, l'amitié avec Picasso, hein?
Moi, ça a été souvent chez lui.
Oui.
Et je sais
Moi,
pas.
j'ai très bien Picasso.
Vous connaissez Picasso?
Très, très bien.
Très bien. Et vous ne l'aimez pas?
Et il m'étonne. Il m'étonne comme monstre.
Et si on lui dit qu'il est un monstre, il ne le croira pas. Il pensera que c'est une offense. Ce n'est pas une offense, c'est une constatation.
Moi, je crois qu'il pense bel et bien qu'il est un monstre.
C'est bien.
Je l'ai vu assez souvent à 30, 34. Et puis, de 40 jusqu'à... pendant l'occupation, tous les jours, presque. Oui, on a dîné tous les soirs ensemble à la Célip. Presque tous les jours.
Moi, je ne l'ai pas revu depuis 30.
Depuis 1930.
Moi, non plus. Depuis, oui. Elle fait 35 ans que je ne l'ai pas vu.
Quoi? Moi, je l'ai vu la première fois quand vous l'avez plus... Vous l'avez plus vu.
Oui.
Ah, voilà. Moi, je voudrais le faire en face, mais c'est pas possible. Ça se raccourcit. C'est tout plat. C'est pas possible. Ça va comme ça, non? Et là, c'est plat.
Je ne sais pas. C'est bien l'expression.
Non. Non, c'est mauvais.
I discovered some things which are not really right in my score, at least. There is one bar too much.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2. C'est-à-dire que vous avez toujours 8 pendant toute la durée de la page. Et à mon avis, ça, c'est une erreur. Ça seulement. Supprimer la barre de mesure, voilà. Et faire une mesure à 3-4. La continuité rythmique, c'est 8. Oui. Contre le rythme de 3, justement. Et justement, ça, il y a un 11 qui est inexplicable, et qui est juste explicable par une erreur d'impression.
Je me souviens, je n'ai pas remarqué ça. Il y a 2 mesures à 3 temps.
Oui.
C'est beaucoup trop.
Oui. Et ça rend la rythmique. Oui. Bon. You had 11 with no sense. So.
Yeah.
Oui.
Thank you.
You are one of the few composers who has always been accepted by his colleagues.
Not for Benjamin Britten.
No?
Because he promised never to play Stravinsky in his concerts.
So what?
That, of course, so what? But he shouldn't say. He could not play.
But are you sure that he said it like that?
He said it.
Well, I remember...
Schriftlich.
People think that he's very difficult. He's not difficult, first of all. He's difficult with himself because he doesn't want to show that he has emotions. Sometimes he comes out very happy and said, I'm so glad I did what I wanted and I succeed in it. And sometimes he's very moody, not eating almost, and said, what happens? Oh, I have to work. I have to work all the time. Something, I cannot find a solution. A French doctor asked me, your husband has to have hobbies. Does he have collecting stamps? I said, no. Does he dance? I said, no. What about women? I said, you cannot ask me such a thing. This was typical French doctor. So I said, no, the only relaxation he has, this is, sometimes he make solitaire.
Liquidated. Solitaire.
Je vous reconnais là.
Bonjour à la Pologne, que j'aime beaucoup. Voilà, bonjour. Everything was burned by Germans. The Germans did the most awful thing in Russia and in Poland. Terrible. And I must say that the Russians did a lot of bad things for Poland, too. Piano, 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 and pianissimo.
Is your music
difficult to understand for the average public of today. As difficult as it was in 1912 and 1913.
I think so. As difficult. But, you know, the scandals which were à la mode 50 years ago are not à la mode today.
But you don't think that people really understand your music better?
No, they don't understand. They have to hear it better.
Will they understand it better in the future, you think?
Who knows what is future? I don't know.
If somebody disturbs his neatness in his studio, it's a big tragedy always. So I never know when I can send in the woman who comes to clean everything. It's always a tragedy. Can she come now? No! Always a big... No, I don't want her now. So, all right. Now he's started to be nicer in general in this. She has 40 minutes. Can she come in? All right, but she must not touch anything. She said, how she can clean, not touching. She has to touch. So this is always... And after, when she's gone, then, where is this? Where is that? She was again, she put it somewhere else, and so on. Nobody took it, I said. And then he said, I cannot find anything. I give up. I don't know what to do. Now, before going to Europe, we had to find, he had to find some scores. The whole house looked. His daughter came specially to look. And she finds everything, you know. She found, finally, something, a score. It was in front of him. He couldn't find it because it was covered with something.
Je suis content de le voir. Do you want just a drop of scotch?
No, chudno.
Wonderful. Chudno means wonderful in Russia. How do you feel, dear?
Отлично.
No, really.
Very well.
And you are looking well. Are looking well. Everybody says to me, you are looking so well. And I say, you think so, but I don't feel well at all. I cannot stand this Feuchtigkeit. Wie sagt man Feuchtigkeit in Russian?
Ja, Syrus.
Syrus. Wie sagt man Feuchtigkeit in English?
Dampness.
Dampness.
Damp weather.
Damp weather.
Maggie, damp weather.
Ja.
Und wie sagt man Feuchtigkeit auf Französisch?
Französisch, humidité.
Humidité. Und wie sagt man auf Italiano? Umidità.
Umidità. Your good health.
Спасибо, Миня. А какая у вас чудная палочка? Это новая, нет? Это очень хорошо. Ну? Ах, какая.
Wonderful to see you.
Vous знаете, ужасное сколько-то. Jean a eu une... Oui, et on pensait qu'il va mourir, mais il n'est pas mort, mais on croit qu'il restera complètement paralysé.
Non.
Oui.
Non.
Oui.
Mais et l'esprit?
On ne sait pas.
Mais qu'est-ce qui est arrivé? Parce que c'est le cœur.
Il était dans le coma. Maintenant, il est en dehors du coma, mais on ne peut encore rien dire. Et on attend si certains médicaments agiront ou pas. Il y a 4 médecins. Darius vous envoie son souvenir.
The Texas Cowboys. Wonderful. On behalf of the Texas Cowboys and the University of Texas, I'd like to present you with the Texas Cowboy hat and welcome you to Austin.
Nothing could be better than to have a cowboy head.
Et combien de basses?
Et 2 basses.
Hein? Orchestre 4, 4, 4, 3, 3. 2 timpani piccoli.
Timpani piccolo.
Alors, j'aurai 2.
Oui.
Et pour chaque des 2 timbalistes, 4 instruments.
4 pour
C'est-à-dire, nous aurons...
Eh bien, arrangez-vous comme vous voulez.
J'ai consulté avec des timbalistes.
Oui, pourvu qu'ils me fassent des notes.
Bien.
Comment, entre eux, je n'ai pas pu écrire parce que, n'est-ce pas, chaque père va se décider
Bien sûr,
à sa façon. Alors, on m'a conseillé de ne pas les forcer de faire d'une certaine façon.
Mais les timbalistes m'ont dit qu'ils ne veulent pas jouer des tom-toms. Parce que c'est un autre son.
Oui, je sais bien. Si on peut avoir des petits timbales, parce qu'il y en a.
Oui.
Moi, je préfère les petits timbales.
Bien.
J'ai fait des tom-toms parce que quelquefois il n'y a pas de petits timbales, il n'y a rien à faire.
3 measures before 2. Poi Lili. We're not striving. Yeah, I have to have, very even. Pam, pam, pam. No. Ensuite, le pom. Yeah. We play the whole thing.
Can you imagine the situation of it's really unimaginable when I think about it, a man of the valor of Stravinsky, a man of the thoroughness of work, who produced in his early age 3 works which were, well, let's say, real bestsellers on the international market: Petrushka, Oiseau de Feu, and Le Sacre du Printemps. Can you imagine that these 3 works, because of a stupidity of of Tsarist Russia and then the Soviet Union, continues that stupidity, not belonging to the Berne Convention, is not covered by copyright? Can you imagine that when he saw people like Strauss and even Ravel getting wealthy and rich on 1 or 2 works, Ravel and Bolero, Strauss and his 2 or 3 of his operas, and he, Stravinsky, having to struggle financially for 2/3 of his life. He was really in a difficult financial condition. In 1917, 1918, people were collecting money for the Stravinsky family to survive. I mean, Stravinsky, at the time he was writing L'Histoire du Soldat, had a very hard time.
So, gentlemen, tell me, please, you are interested probably some questions. If I am able to answer you, I will do it with pleasure.
Are there any extra problems for a composer writing in old age? Does inspiration remain as fluent?
You know, for you, I am somebody of old age. For myself, I am not of old age.
Well, I think
I have continued to live And it is not my fault that I lived 83 years instead of 38. That's all.
Are there any differences in your technique now that you might count yourself a serial composer rather than... Do you still compose at the piano as you...
I still compose on the piano. You know why? When I compose myself, I have only to have the vibrations.
Yes.
And the vibrations must be pianissimo. And then I hear every puzzle, if I can say it this way, of the sound.
This music to play during Diaghilev time, but during Diaghilev, Apollon was impossible. They laughed at it. How? My God, what? You know, they couldn't calculate. What awful, you know? And Prodigal Son, all the stuff was typical. Now people whistle on the street, you know?
Not always in the street.
No.
Maybe in the bathroom.
No.
Because they think they are absolutely safe.
Einer der berühmtesten zeitgenössischen Komponisten, Igor Stravinsky, wurde heute Mittag im Rathaus Schöneberg vom regierenden Bürgermeister Willy Brandt empfangen. Der jetzt 82-jährige Künstler trug sich in das Goldene Buch der Stadt ein. Als Andenken an seinen Berliner Aufenthalt erhielt er einen Zuckerkorb der staatlichen Porzellanmanufaktur.
Auch keine politische Frau, keine musikalische Frau. Nur Fragen. Wenn ich 13 Jahre alt war, war ich schon in Berlin. Und ich habe sehr Berlin geliebt.
À l'ouverture du Festival de Venise, la présence d'Igor Stravinsky et d'Arthur Rubinstein a souligné les liens étroits qui unissent la musique et le cinéma. Et sur le passage de la belle Gina Lollobrigida, on a entendu le pont des soupirs lui-même soupirer.
Excuse me, but I ask for accents here. Accents for tanto piano, and you play piano. Once more, 24. Give me sforzando piano, each time as it is written. The variations is remote from the musical taste of my dear friend, the late Aldous Huxley. I could not refrain from dedicating it to his memory.
А ты в пьяне видно, как это...
И в темпе делал.
Да. Так что очень...
Ну, я очень счастлив этому.
Да.
Очень счастлив. I can wait as an insect can wait. I am somebody who is waiting all my life. But this is very important, to wait and to know how to wait and not be bored to wait. You are annoyed maybe to wait too long, you know, but I am waiting.
Direct is the children.
Who wants to go at 10 o'clock in the morning to see people in this crowd?
That's true.
I don't recognize it.
I recognize everything.
No, I don't know where the table is. Oh, there is the table.
It's caviar.
Caviar.
And listen to me.
Polish.
Polish vodka.